What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this video. So in this video, I'm going to be covering the basics of support and resistance, how to trade those levels, and also how to use them in confluence with supply and demand levels. So before we get to the charts, I want to cover some points. So rule number one, obviously support acts as a floor. Most of you guys already know this, but it's really important to keep this in mind that this is just a price level or a price area where the price just keeps on bouncing, right? It just keeps on bouncing from that level. So if we have something like this and you see price goes up and then comes back and then it comes back again. So this would be the floor. And these are potential areas where you could look for long opportunities, right? If obviously there are entry confirmations. Now, the second point obviously is resistance, which is the opposite, just acts as a ceiling. So again, this is the same thing where price just doesn't want to go through and it keeps reacting of or usually around the same level, right? It's not never really just a line. It's usually just like an area, right? A zone. That's what I always do. It's always like a zone where price reacts up. Then the next point that I want to cover is it's basically an area where price just reacts from time to time again, and this could be for a very long time, right? This could be just intraday, this could be for multiple days, sometimes it could be for weeks, depending on the time frame that you're looking at. But then again, we're focused on day trading, so our general preferences are lower time frames. So these support and resistance levels are usually going to be from the same day or the last 2-3 days or maybe like a week, right? And as I said earlier, it's really a general area. It's not just a line, because I know many people, they will just look at, support and resistance, and they will say like, it's just this line, but price not always, will touch that same line or will go to the exact same price level. It's more an area where price would react off, and then you just need to see if the level, the zone could potentially be respected, and you find in this case, well, a sell opportunity, right? Or obviously for support, it's a buy opportunity. So I use these levels for with different purposes. Sometimes I would trade the rejection of this level, and sometimes I would trade the breakout of this level. So let's say we have this resistance level right here, right? We have this whole area right here where sellers have proven that they are strong and they are trying to hold this position or hold this price range, right? So if price would come back to this area, if I don't see a massive like break, I see as soon as it comes into the level, I see confirmations to go short, then obviously I would trade the rejection of this level. Also, you have to keep in mind that many times when there's equal highs, it will just spike right above it and then immediately come back down. This, well, a lot of traders call this a fake out, whatever you want to call it. This is just manipulation of some highs. So this is the first way that I like to trade these levels, and I feel very confident trading these levels, just the rejection of the support or the resistance. But then there are also times where there's a breakout. So if we have this resistance level, sometimes you will see when we're looking at this area, that price, as the market opens, for example, New York session opens, that it will go very aggressively, and you see the volume, just the buying volume, basically, you see it increasing. Changes. Okay, so you see the buying volume being very strong and increasing, then I speculate and there's a bigger chance of this area breaking. So then I want to see a proper break of this, and there are multiple ways of confirming the actual break of this resistance level. So as I said here, a 6-point break on the S&P, which is just what I trade. I've seen that generally a 6-point break of this level, so the high of this level, basically, if it's 6 points above it, then for me that's a confirmed breakout, and then I would wait for some sort of retest on my with all my different entry patterns, which I'll for sure make videos on, as I use Bookmap and order flow, footprint, and all that to confirm my entries. And then I would look to long, right? So this would be a proper break for me if it at least breaks for around 6 points, because many times it can also happen that it's just a fake out, it breaks 2-3 points and then just comes back down again, right? So Another way that you can use the support and resistance levels is combined with supply and demand. So let's say we have a demand area right here, but then here there are equal lows or support level, right? So many times when you see, let's make another one to make it more visual. So many times as well, you will see a demand level below these support levels. Actually, I didn't draw that correctly, but you will see many times just support right above a demand level that you want to trade off. And it's very good to wait for these lows to be broken, basically, because if you have this demand zone right here below, right, and there's just a demand level right here, and then it does this, right, and then you have all these lows, then it's good to wait for a run of liquidity, whatever you want to call it, stop out all these traders that are trying to trade this support level, and then finally it comes into the demand and manips all these traders, and then there you can find very, very aggressive moves usually. And obviously this goes the opposite for a resistance with a supply, right? So it's all about context. If obviously you just see a range like this and you see the support and there's no really a demand area below, then there's a big chance that this area will hold. But if there's a demand zone right below, then yeah, there's a big, big, big chance that it will just manipulate all these lows and then fly from there, right? So there are a couple time frames that I use the support and resistance levels for. I use it mainly on the M30 and the M15. As I said, I'm scalping, day trading, so I don't really need 4-hour or daily support and resistance level. It's still good to look at them to understand market context and where the market might be going or might react from. But in terms of scalping and day trading, these are the two main time frames that I use these support and resistance levels for. So let's get to the chart and let's look at some examples. So here, for example, we can see on the M30 that we had some resistance levels, and also you can also see like very small support, right? So if you look at this example here, you can already see here there was a low here, another low here, another low here. So this would be a full area of support, these two already together, well, these 2-3 lows, right? And as you can see, the market the next day just wicks into that. It was during the pre-market, so obviously I wasn't trading, but it did just wick into that and then reacted very aggressively from there, making the low basically of this whole move into this support. And then as you can see, days later, it came back to the support like twice, right? And then also massive reaction from there. So this would be a very clean example of an M30 or an M15. It's all the same, to be honest. It's just obviously less color on the M30 than on the M15. So this would be a nice example of a support level. You also have very small intraday support level or resistance level sometimes, and then you just wait for the manipulation. So there are some demands right here. There's a demand right here where price reacted up, and as you can see, there was clean support again here, all these lows, right? And then what did it do? As I was drawing earlier on the slide, that price just comes down and manips these lows and then reacts from there. I know this doesn't look like a big move, but it's still a over 20 point move, this whole move here. So if you trade with tighter stop losses as I do, with 2-3 points as my average stop loss size, you can get a very nice trade in this move. Probably not catch all of it, but you can catch slice of this move. So let's look at some more examples. Here you can see again another support level right here, and then actually the support got broken and retested, and then had a nice reaction to the downside. Me personally, I don't really like trading these support and resistance flips or whatever you want to call it. So I would rather just trade the breakout here and try to catch this first short move instead of waiting for a retest and then sell. I know I said on the slide that I would wait for a retest, but it's on a obviously lower time frame. I would look at the M1, which is where I execute all my entries. So here I would look for some sort of entry pattern as soon as I confirm the breakout of this level, and then I would try and short it. So let's look at some more examples. So here, for example, you can see again, there was resistance here, and what did price do? It just, broke the resistance. You probably could find a trade on the breakout of this resistance, and then it reacted probably from a supply up here, it's not a valid supply on the M30 for me because of the candle patterns and stuff, but for sure on some time frame there was a nice supply up here, and then it just manipulated all these highs. This resistance basically went into the supply and then reacted from there. Here you can see again during the pre-market, right, we had this low and this low creating support, and then during the market open, price comes back to the support, wicks below it, manips all these lows, and then massive rally from there, as you can see, right? So these are all very nice and clean examples of support and resistance. It's not really too complex. It's just try to keep it as simple and clean as possible, and then you'll be able to find for sure good levels to trade off. Let's see if we can find some more. Actually, let's go to the recent price action. So here, for example, we have a nice support level. You can see we had one low, two low, another low here, and then prices kept supporting this level. So this could be a level that you're looking to trade off. And then as you can see, the market opens and then wicks into it. And then for sure on the lower time frame, you were able to find a entry confirmation, and then yeah, massive move again from this support level. So it's not just all about supply and demand. It's also about support and resistance, and also using it in the right context together with supply and demand. So here, for example, you can see another support level. You can see these lows right here. So this is again a whole area of support. And then what does price do? Price manips all these lows, comes back to the original low of this move, which would be a demand. And then while the market is open as well in our session, so it manips all these lows, comes into the demand, then reacts from there. And then again, the low was set here, and then massive rally, right? So these just happen pretty much every single week. You just, like I said, have to use them in the right context. Here again, we had this low, this low. So this would be a support level that you can look at. Then when the market opens, just go slowly down, wicks again into it, manips these lows, and then again, a reaction from there. So it just happens constantly, guys, honestly. It's just all the time we see support and resistance being respected and rejected, or also we see some breakouts. So let's zoom out a little bit and try to find a more balanced range. So here, for example, we could see a massive resistance, right, from a very long time, literally from the 4th of July till 16th of July, pretty much 15, 16th of July. So over 10 days of resistance, and then finally price broke it. And once it got broken, you know, with around 6-point range, you can see somewhere here as the top, depending how you draw it, obviously. The top would be somewhere around here, and then it gets broken around here, and then you can squeeze a little move here again, you know. So yeah, it just happens honestly everywhere, and you just have to keep in mind, like I said on the slide, if there's supply and demand beyond the support and resistance level, just keep that in mind and really think about, okay, is this really the best level that I want to be trading off, or will I just rather wait for the manipulation of this support and resistance level and trade the supply and demand, right? And if there's really nothing, you know, really strong demands below or supplies above the resistance, and maybe you can trade the supply. For example, in this case, I don't really see any strong demands, maybe until here. This could be demand level, right? So it's still quite a way from the support level to the demand. So if this support level would have gotten broken with around 6 points, so this was at the 6,400, let's say, let's make it round. So somewhere around here, this would be the confirmed break for me of the support, and then I would look for shorts and short probably and target this demand zone, which would be a very good target as well, as you can short from around this area all to this area, so almost a 20-point range. So that's a very good, you know, example again of a setup that you could have looked at. And again, guys, I only trade the S&P, so you know these manipulations happen constantly, but also just the support and resistance levels in itself, they get respected a lot. As long as you don't really dive like too deep onto the M1, and then it's going to be too, you know, too much cluster if you just go on the M1 and try to find support and resistance levels, because they're going to be everywhere on the M1, right? And they might work, of course. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but for me, just on the M1 looking for levels is just way too messy. There's too many candles on there, so I'd rather just focus on the main levels for day trading at least. So the M15, the M30 is more than enough to find, you know, good levels to trade off, or to wait for them to break and then trade the breakout. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Hope you found this helpful. If you did, please leave a like and let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions and with any doubts that you might have. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.